What is good? What is good, everybody? Can you guys hear me okay? Give me a note in the chat. I am seeing some folks. We got folks from South Africa, from Florida, from Michigan, and I am excited to see you guys here. SBU Media, welcome, welcome, welcome. And all of my friends on David, Brian, Steven said that they're on for this is the first time I think they said, right? So I've been trying to attend every Friday, but this is the first time. Welcome, 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 my friend. We got Tayel on, Tayel TK. Excellent. I'm glad you can hear me okay. And when I said that, I should have just checked my levels. I was looking at my levels after I said it, so I was a little bit late. So thank you for letting me know, Tayel. Ubuntu I followed the link from FreeShow Docs. Oh, so David's doing something new. He's trying to get a Linux running on his stuff here. We got Claude from Canada. Hey, I love it. Welcome, welcome, Claude. We're going to be jumping in. I got a lot of energy today, even though it was a little bit of a challenge getting everything started. So this will be fun. This will be a lot of fun because there's a lot of new updates going on with FreeShow, and a lot of things in the works that I want to give you guys some updates on. So I don't even know where to start. Look, I got stuff everywhere. Let me pull this out the way. And I will tell you this. First off, I'm so excited, partly because we're about to hit 1,000 Bible downloads. That is super exciting to me to be able to help distribute the Word of God all over the world. So if you know somebody that is in a media ministry, most likely that's where those XML Bible files are usually the most helpful. And it doesn't have to mean that they use FreeShow, but they may use. I had somebody that downloaded them just the other day. And they use ProPresenter, and those files work on ProPresenter. They work on OpenLP. They work with pretty much any platform, I believe, that is a presentation software for Bibles. Please point them to GaryBJr.com. They don't have to sign up to my mailing list. I actually clear out people off my mailing list just the other day, just because they just came for the Bible, which is great. That's a great reason to come. I'm completely okay with that. I'll make sure that they do not stay subscribed, but you can always check the box. I think it is to just say, I don't want to be subscribed to get emails, but my goal is the same, is to share the gospel throughout the nations. And FreeShow is an awesome way to do it because it is directly connected to where people go to read and hear about the Word of God in ministries and so forth and so on. So my goal is to empower people all over the world to be able to show the Bible to people so they can read it for themselves, because it's important for us to hear it, but it's just as important for us to be able to read it for ourselves. So that one thing, we had like over 950 just the other day. I sent an email out to my mailing list to let them know, hey, we're almost there at 1,000. And that's just a fun number, but every time there's a download for the Bible, I get an email and I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Someone downloaded the Bibles today, so I'm excited about that. So please help me out by sharing that link, that website, to those who you think could benefit from it. Maybe they don't speak English, and that's okay. All these Bibles are English, so I get that. But if they do speak English in any form, there's some Bibles that they can use. Let's see here. Let's think about this. So the other options, other things I want to talk about are free show updates. I'm flipping my paper around here. There are some things in free show that are exciting going on. I believe that there's a major, I'm not gonna say a major shift, but free show is evolving to being even more polished, right? So I know I started this journey literally just about 6 months ago. So right at the end of December, I think I made my first video, and then I made the rest of them actually after the first of the year. But um, free show's come a long way in terms of what my experience was initially to what it is now, and some things coming down the pike that I'm super excited about. And so what I want to do is I want to share something with you guys. Let's do this here. I'm going to switch over, let you guys see my screen. And if you haven't already, I think the 1.4.5 version is pretty solid. It's been reliable for me from my experience with it. So check it out if you have not upgraded. I wouldn't say upgrade today if you haven't already, just because if you have service this weekend, that wouldn't be a good idea. But as you get into next week, I would definitely check it out and make sure to run it through its paces for everything that you need it for and see what it does. But I haven't seen any issues that are major for me. But then there's this other thing. There's this 1.4.6 beta. All right. And this is why I say free show is evolving, because this one includes weather forecasts. It's like, what? And so one of the things I've been working on behind the scenes, you guys, I'm not saying it's anything big right now, but my goal is to really help establish the footprint of free show when it comes to wider use cases, right? I love that we get to distribute the Bibles, but there's places that need presentation software, and maybe they don't need to show the Bible right away. Maybe it's a conference, or maybe it's a school or a government space. I believe Free Show is a great resource for that as well. And Free Show doesn't pay me to say any of this stuff. They don't pay me for anything, as a matter of fact. But the idea is that I'm just playing my part in the community to help um, kind of back something that I just believe is really powerful and robust. So that's the main thing. But they offer this weather forecast item now. So you can actually, where you go into your slides or overlays and you would select a text box or a media or video, there's an option there that says weather. And you can open that up. And I'm not going to demonstrate it today, mostly just because it's the beta. And I actually I upgraded to the beta at the middle of the week, and then I downgraded back to the 1.4.5 because I had to do some tutorials, some recordings I was making. So I didn't want to show the beta because those are things I don't know how they're going to end up in the final version. But if it was a final version, I would record with it. But without it being a final version, I don't usually record with those. But then we got this option for an RSS news feed. And I'm like, that's crazy, because I can see that being really helpful, like in schools, like as a or even in churches and ministries, obviously, like a lobby view, or even in the initial countdown showing what the weather's going to be, what it is. I think it gives like a 3-day forecast, or like a 3 or 4 hour, maybe a 6 hour forecast as well. And so that was really cool. And then the RSS feed, that's something that's really neat as well. You can, put in an RSS feed that updates, and then you can set the time. It can update every 5 minutes, every 60 minutes, and it shows whatever headlines you wanted to show from whatever RSS network or feed that you have. And that could be really helpful in any instance, whether it's a government situation, whether it's a school situation, a ministry situation, where it's a standing um, presentation or standing display that's connected to a computer somewhere, this sending this RSS feed, and this, you know, from, I don't know, but propagating or positioning itself and showing this real time information. It's not showing a TV, right? It's not showing like a broadcast. It's literally showing articles and news related things, right? So that's pretty cool. There's some chat going on about Ubuntu and Linux. So let's see here. David's trying to change some things to update to use free show at his church. He's going to try Linux this week, I think he said. So that's pretty cool. And then let's see. Stefan says they also run Linux, but the church still uses Windows. So they say, I'm in the process of moving my church over from PowerPoint to free show. Planning on using free show at an event in September with 5,000 plus people. Sweet. Stefan, or I don't know how to say the name, Stephen or Stefan. What's the event? What kind of event is that? And then David says, I use an external HD so I can use both Ubuntu CE and Windows. Now I don't even what's the external external hard drive. Okay. I'm like, what's the external HD? I thought that was some kind of new Windows computer or something. So external hard drive, so you can use both Ubuntu and Windows. That's cool. Um, and then Al says that was my idea. Nice, nice. And then Al says that's great. And then Al says it's pretty easy with APIs. Cool. The funny thing, you guys, I don't use anything except Mac. So I'm not a fanboy of Mac like Apple altogether, but I do really like Apple computers because they're so reliable, because they literally have they control the entire process, and so it's pretty seamless. So their hardware and their software are all aligned. I love that, and that was a big challenge I had with Windows computers, is that everything, Hewlett Packard sold Windows computer, Compaq sold Windows computers. Everybody's selling them, but they don't really support them the way that Windows would. And I never bought a Windows computer. Well, they got Surfaces and stuff like that. I never bought a Surface, but that's one of the things that I like about Mac. So I've never really explored other platforms for the past. Oh, it's probably been since '06, about 20 years almost now. Wow. '06, '07, I think, is when I got my first MacBook. And then since then, I never looked back except when I was at work. So I did use Windows for that quite a bit, working in corporate America. Um, so going back to the update, or the beta, I should say, you can select the output style from a pop-up and the stage layout from a pop-up. And this is pretty cool because it's exactly carrying over from what has been the design, I don't know, design theme with other things already. Like if you go into a slide and you select, look, let me just show you guys. If you select edit here and I were to right click and I said, I want to add a dynamic value, this pop-up style is carrying over into the menu or the settings. If I go here and I were to go to outputs and I select a certain style here, right now, it's just a drop down list, but in the beta, it actually is a pop out that gives you a sample of what each of those looks like, right? It's kind of like when you are setting up your styles, and here's another example of it, and you're trying to pick a template. The pop out looks like this for outputs styles as well. So to show you exactly what your output would look like, which that is just a good consistent aesthetic, right? That's the thing, the design aesthetic. That's what I was wanting to say. All right, so that's pretty cool. So I'm excited about that. And then a live stream style preset. This is something I'm excited about as well, because what it does, it allows it a lot easier for people to jump into Free Show and set up a live stream output um, for their ministry or whatever reason they're using it for. And for me, I use it with OBS. Like I'm using with OBS right now, and that's what's on my laptop. And then I've got another monitor that's showing another screen, and I'm sending everything through NDI into OBS. And as I'm talking, you guys, please feel free to send me questions. Put a note with a question in it, and I'll do my best to answer those as well. Let's see here. Steven says, "Oh damn, I forgot what my second pronunciation was." Not English. Okay, Stefan. Okay, got you. Last year you used OpenLP. Hey, I used OpenLP as well. That was, yeah, up until last year. And then let's see here. It's called Mighty Men Conference. Last year, 5,000 men. This year, more. We're expecting more. Wow, wow, wow. And then OpenLP is also pre-installed in for church software in Ubuntu. Are you serious? Wow, that's pretty cool that it's already pre-installed. Stephen says outdoor events, so the weather forecast will be welcome. I love it. I love it. I love it. That is true. Like the idea that it does that, or the Free Show can do that, it just speaks to the boundlessness to me, because it's pretty much unlimited. It's really going to be based on the ideas that we come up with. And I remember someone, I believe it was in GitHub, they made a comment and suggested it. And Christopher and any other developers that contribute, they jump on it like that. I mean, it's so crazy how quickly they can come up with a solution to the questions, right? And then a few other ones that stand out. Let me see here. Live stream. Let me see here. Live stream style preset. We talked about that. Edit camera feed. This is a lot like what you would see in the video and images, right? So the filter option, you can do that. You'll be able to do that with video. So if I go back and I go to media, and I'm gonna go to, let's do online, and I'm gonna just go to one of these images here on Pixabay. And so if I right click on this picture with the snow and I say edit, you'll be able to do the same thing with video now. right? And then when you do that, you'll be able to go to filters, and you'll be able to say, okay, I want to change the hue of the whole thing. And you can literally change the whole hue of your video feed. Okay, your literal video feed, your camera, I should say, is the idea. So that's kind of cool. Not just the video. We do that with video already, but with your camera, you can literally make it blurry, which is kind of crazy. And same way with sepia, you can make it be a sepia tone, which that's going to be kind of fun. It's just kind of a cool filter to be able to put on your videos. From a creative standpoint, there's a lot of value to it. From a practical standpoint, I'm not going to act like that's something that I would expect most churches to do, but I do think there's some value in it if they want to, right? If they say, you know what, we're going to have this theme for this series that we're teaching on, and it's, I don't know, maybe it's about being old school or something like that. I don't know. And they do everything in black and white, right? And they don't have to do anything special with their cameras. They can do it all in their software on FreeShow, for example, which would be kind of cool. Um, and then let's see here. Let's go back over here. We got drawer indicator when search is active after changing tabs. So when searching, I'm trying to pull it out. Let me see here. I got some notes here. Okay, so when searching in the drawer and changing tabs on the left side, there's a box with info that the search is active. And so I don't know if you guys have run into this, but I've run into this before where I did a search in FreeShow, and let me go back out. I did a search over here, and that search carries over on all the tabs, and I don't recognize it sometimes. I'm like, where's all my videos or where's all my backgrounds? And it's because it's narrowing down based on what I searched for on the right side, and I didn't delete it. So that's something that's going to be welcome. It's going to give you a notification. I think it says on the left as well. And then you can disable certain dynamic value sections, right? So if we go back, you can disable certain dynamic values. And so right now, every dynamic value that you can add shows up as an option in FreeShow. This is, I'm in 1.4.5. We're talking about 1.4.6 beta, right? And so if I were to go back, let's do this slide here. When we go to edit and go here. And if I were to go in here and I wanted to add a dynamic value, yet again, I right click and I add a dynamic value, it shows all of this, okay? The text, the video, the audio, the metadata, the variable. Well, in the future, if you never use any of these up at the top, or maybe you don't use the video metadata, you can literally make it just not be in the list of the pop-up, so it won't even show up. Or audio, it won't show up the metadata for that because you'll disable it from ever showing up, and you would do that in your settings, right? So the settings menu has changed quite a bit, and it'll be, I think it's under general, don't quote me on that. I think it's down here on the right. You'll see an option that talks about dynamic value options as well. All right. And then it says you can quickly create shows. This is another one. Quickly create new shows if not found with search. And so you can hit enter and it'll automatically open up the option to create a new show. If you did a search for a show name, like you search for a song and it doesn't bring up anything, you can hit enter and it'll let you start and make a new song or new show immediately. All right. With that enter, you just put in the song that you really were looking for. All right. Let's see here. Some bug fixes were there. Let's see. Fixed effects assets not rendered in production build. So this one here is a big one. The effects assets. So right now in 1.4.5, this is a really cool thing in the overlays. We got this option for effects now, right? And so I'm in the effects, and if I go and I right click on this snow effect and I just go to edit it, when I select add, there's this bottom section that are just called assets, right? These are now filled in 1.4.6 beta, and they're little cartoon characters, like, and they're designed, I think, like to be like little Bible characters. One of them looks like a shepherd. One of them looks like a giant or a warrior. One of them looks like a young lady. One of them looks like a little boy, I believe, and a sheep. There's one that's a sheep as well. So if those things are helpful for you in your ministry service or your live stream or whatever it is, definitely check them out. I think they're pretty cool. I'm gonna adjust this real quick. All right. And so those are the updates with FreeShow that are yet to come. I'm not showing those today just because they're not out of the beta yet, but when they get out of beta, I'll probably do a demonstration with them or something like that. Now, one thing I want to point out that I sent out to my email list, and someone asked a question about this. They asked about, it'd be cool if you can make, like, this is a snow effect. It would be cool if you could make the snow effect be behind your text, right? And that is so easy to do. I just didn't realize because I never really did it before. But there's an option on every overlay. You can right click on it and select place under slide. My question is, how many of you guys knew that? Because I did not know. I completely overlooked it, right? Um, so that's something that's really cool. You can literally move any overlay to be behind your text, which kind of opens up, not kind of, it definitely opens up a whole new use case for overlays. They don't have to always be on top of everything. They can literally kind of be layered behind some stuff, which is kind of nice, kind of fun. Let's see here. Stefan says you use OpenLP for probably 10 years at events, not at the church, but cannot use of that at my church. So I'm very excited to change over my church and other churches I assist to Free Show. Absolutely. Free Show is robust, it's powerful, and it's something that's constantly evolving. That's what I think is probably my favorite part about it. With it being open source, there's so much room for people to contribute to it. I'm not a developer, so I don't contribute in that way. I contribute uh, by doing this, I guess, more than anything. But I got more questions than I have answers when it comes to Free Show and my contribution to the development team. So I'll ask questions. Hey, can we do this? Or how does this work? Or anybody know how to do this or make this work? So that's something that I personally have found myself prone to do. And so now let me do something here. I'm going to turn on some properties here. I'm going into my OBS to make sure everything is good on my settings. Okay. And then I'll turn this on. And today, let's see here. We're going to be talking about just understanding Free Show, just in general. All right. Yeah, that overlay it's a game changer. That is definitely, like I said, it's something that if you understand how it works, you use it to your advantage, and that's really my goal. Because I'm a trainer slash teacher at heart. With everything, I teach young men about the Bible. I teach people about technology, and those two things are kind of what is my bread and butter: technology and the Bible. I could talk about each of those all day, and I love to combine them. And Free Show is a way for me to actually combine those two passions. Um, because yeah, it involves both. It involves technology and it involves the Word of God. So when it comes to today, the goal is to just better understand Free Show. So I want some questions from you guys, and I also made a post. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I made a post, and if you haven't filled it out, make sure to check it out. It is on my channel. I got to get to it real quick, and I'll pull it up and show you guys. Let's see here. So this is where we are right now. Let's see. My question was, which of these Free Show topics do you have the most questions about? And it was about stage view, output settings, using templates, and or customizing actions. And if there's one in there that I mean, it only gives you an option to do up to 4. So if there's something in there that I didn't list in there, put that in the comments. Please make a comment of what it is that you have the most questions about related to Free Show that I didn't even mention. All right. But an overwhelming percent so far, there's only been 17 votes, but of those 17, 59%, almost 60% are saying customizing the actions is kind of the most foggy or fuzzy part of this whole process. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that in the advanced discussion, but we're going to start like we always do. We're going to start with a beginner level topic slash discussion. And like I said, so anybody that's on right now, don't be ashamed to ask a question. There's no such thing as a bad question. For me, at least, when I would train in classrooms and things like that, one of the things I make sure to do is I don't use sarcasm. I don't like to tell jokes and things like that when it's time to learn, because that can inhibit um, the learning process, because it can intimidate people, make them feel bad or whatever it is, or just cause question as to what's serious, what's not, what's the answer, what's really not an answer. So I'm never going to be facetious with you guys. We're going to just go through it, right? If you got a question, you just something that you just didn't understand how it works. Like for me, I asked the question on GitHub about, hey, how do we make the, because somebody asked me on YouTube, I didn't know the answer. How do you make, is it possible, can we get an update to where we can make these overlays be behind the slides? And Christopher, the developer, he goes, hey, problem solved. This issue is closed and completed, because yes, you can do that. All you got to do is right click on it and it'll show this. I'm like, oh, perfect, thank you. And it was just a clear, concise answer, and that's my goal with you guys as well, is that we can get some good, clear answers, because what you do in terms of serving in any type of media platform, right, in terms of production, and I say any type of media platform, Anytime you're using media and there's a real group of people there, okay, like you guys, you're a real group of people right now on this live stream. It's stressful to try to get things ready. You guys should have saw me earlier today, right before the live stream. I had to relog into YouTube on my OBS. I had to change my NDI properties on my OBS feeds or my free show feeds into OBS because they weren't populating. So I tried to start the show, start the countdown, and it wouldn't populate into OBS. And this is something that happens every day. Every time a church service meeting happens, something will inevitably go unexpectedly, and you have to have the wherewithal and a solution to solve every one of those unexpected problems. And so I empathize. I completely understand and relate to that. Let me do something real quick because I'm noticing I don't have. Oh wait, here we go. I don't know if my internet is that strong right now, but I got an Ethernet cord. I didn't even have it plugged up, so it looks like it's been excellent based on what I'm looking at in YouTube. But I didn't have my Ethernet plugged up because I've been moving my computer around, doing some stuff here. Yeah, whole nother story. But those inevitables, those unexpected things are inevitable, and we've got to be ready to answer those questions and resolve them. So I really respect what you all do, whether it's for live events, whether it's for church meetings, whether it's for whatever live streaming, whatever it is you're doing. I know the challenges that come with it are real, and so my goal is to help answer a lot of those questions. So today, starting out, the idea is we're going to talk about free show settings for a beginner, right? So you can be in free show and you know that there's this top three up here, the show, the edit, and the stage. These are always on your screen unless you go into your settings page. Okay. And then at the top of free show, if you go for me, I got my screen maximized. There's also this file and the edit, the view, and the help. I usually don't even do anything with the file after free show is set up. I don't usually import or export new things. I take that back. For me, I export some things, like I'll export templates to upload. Like if I'm putting those on my website or something like that, I don't even do it from here though. But you can hit export and you'll see you can export actually projects and shows. When I export my templates, I actually go down here to the templates themselves and I just right click on them. And you get this option to export here as well. Okay. And so that's an option. However, once you set free show up, it's not likely that you're going to do a lot of importing or exporting on a regular ministry need or anything like that. All right. And then for editing, I never use any of this stuff up here for edit. You guys let me know. Do you all use any of the options up here in the edit menu? Because I typically do not, but I got the emojis and symbols, which is sometimes helpful. And then the copy and paste, that can be helpful, but I usually try to use shortcuts for that. Now, this one is crazy. The view is a cool setting that I would say anybody should try, at least to consider, right? So right now you guys are seeing my view like this, but there's this option that says toggle focus mode. When I click that, it changes everything. So it literally takes everything this on this left side. This is kind of like the most recent, right, in my left panel here. And this is usually where your project would be. And a project is like your service. And so everything I got here, these are all just recent things I've been in, I guess. But it shows it to you in this different format to where everything is kind of stacked in the middle now. So it's not just one show in the middle. It literally shows every show that's on the left panel, it shows it in the middle, slide by slide. Right. So there's my free show Friday slides. Here's another thing. This is a song, hallelujah chant. And then I scroll through. Let's see, there should be another. Yeah, that's a long song. There's another one with the scriptures. That's right here, Genesis 1, verses 1 through 31. So it's 31 slides of that. And then I go down, you got this other thing I've been working on for a school idea. And then My Redeemer Lives, another song. And most of the stuff that you guys see in my free show is literally all for training, right? Most everything I do for free show right now in terms of my interactivity is for the live stream portion of it, like for this meeting and for training. That's typically what I do right now. So I'm committed and dedicated to making sure you all are equipped to use it in your services and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things you guys are going to run into that I haven't even got to play with because when I actually recently moved, so I haven't even found a church home that I go to and attend locally. I do a lot of stuff online, but this is something I not got to interact with in a live production on site. Um, I've done it remote though. I've done some remote live streaming for ministries back home, so that was something that was kind of cool. David says, "Yeah, unexpected problems happen all the time. Absolutely, absolutely." And so that setting right there will be one that's kind of like once service starts, this is the mode I would recommend that you be in because you're not really trying to make any edits or changes or anything like that. This is really just we're rolling with the service now. Everything is already set. And so all these all the tabs in the menu down here, they just turn into little icons, and you can pop them up if you want to. But the idea is we're focused on the service. We're not even dealing with making changes to templates because we already did that before service started. And now you can just go through the slides and simply just right click one at a time, right? All the way through. Okay. And it'll take you from one to the next. You can see exactly what's coming up without having to go over here and click over here and click over there and then see what happens and click again. It's all there. Okay. You can see it all. So that's a really cool feature. But there's more settings like we talked about. So on the right side of Free Show, let me get out of focus mode, because focus mode, you can't even go to the settings anymore. Look at that. It's completely gone. But I'm going to come back out and change my view. I'm going to go toggle focus mode again. And now it says, okay, you can go back to your settings. So I'm going to go to settings. The way Free Show is laid out now is designed to be a lot more streamlined than I started with it 6 months ago. And so the general hasn't changed much, right? There's not a lot of difference here, but on the bottom right, there's a lot more details here that are kind of cool. So you can manage your groups from here, right? These are your song or lyric groups. And I'm working on a project now showing people how to record. We'll talk a little bit about that later on as well, but you can actually have groups and color code them based on what that group is, right? A lot of people coming from other programs might find some benefit to know that Free Show can do that. The metadata, you can do that too. So you can literally hide the metadata option. So you can say, I never put in anything about the composer or the publisher. So I can click on this little thing here. So whenever I pull up the metadata, that's not even going to pop up, or options not going to pop up for that. The key, right? A lot of worship leaders use the key. So that's something you probably want to keep on. The year, maybe, maybe not. I don't know. The author, maybe or maybe not. But you can disable the viewing of those particular metadata pieces from your settings, which is kind of cool. And then you can manage your icons and your colors, right? So managing icons is here. You can add more. We talked about this last time. And then managing colors. This was kind of cool because Free Show has a default color palette that you can see here. And then you can add your own colors, right? So you can add your own theme colors, and you can even add your own theme gradients or your own gradients however you want. And these are my 4 or 5 that I've made here. And I can add another one just as easily. Okay. And they'll always pop up whenever I'm picking colors. This is the menu that I'll see in terms of all the colors I've added, and all the colors by default will be there. And I can pick the same one every time and be consistent, as opposed to sometimes what I do is I'll just make it on the fly and then not even think about it and keep on blah, blah, blah. 2 weeks will pass. I got to try to make it another thing, and I'll try to make it the same color, but it's not always exact unless I copy the hex code or the RGB code. Whereas here, you don't have to worry about any of that. You can literally just set it and forget it, and it'll always pop up the right color. You just select the color, all right, or the gradient, which is cool. So outputs, if you've been using Free Show for any amount of time, the outputs is a very crucial part of the menu or the settings that you have to set up in order for it to work. And so for me, I've got 4 different outputs set up right now. One of them's a stage output, which is cool. But the cool thing about the outputs to me is right now I'm doing this live stream and I'm not sending a signal over HDMI for Free Show at all. But you guys, when I did my opening countdown, it was showing up, and I was showing it actually through NDI. Okay, so my primary is here, and it was actually playing through NDI, which is on here, and I can send that to OBS, and I never have to actually present. I never have to hit the present button to do it. However, if you have a real audience, a physical audience, I should say, you guys are a real audience, but a physical audience in the same space, then you're going to always need to present up here, but you can at the same time send that same signal wirelessly through OBS to another computer, or for this case, to another program like OBS. And it's really cool feature that it gets overlooked, overshadowed, but I think that's a major, major, major feature. All right, let's see. We got a question here about chords in stage view. I cannot seem to get it to display correctly. I've tried many different ways to no avail. Let me turn on my Q&A pop up here. So sometimes the chords will show over the lyrics and other times not. And then it says, don't know if you want to address it in this video or some other time. I would probably need to give you a screenshot. Stefan, I wish I could help you understand this as best as you probably need it. I'm going to give it a shot. But here's the thing. I don't know anything about music. So, unlike most people that work in media teams and ministries, they have this musical background or experience. They can play the keys. Like AJ, the CEO, he makes music, right? He's got some his own songs, right? I'm not that guy. I'm more the tech guy, right? I literally am. I'm a videographer, so I know a lot about cameras. If you ask me a question about anything about cameras, I promise you, I would be a lot more confident about this. However, let's talk about this idea of the chords first of all. And I wish somebody can give me like school me on what chords are about or what they do or how they work or whatever. But you said in stage view. Let me see here. I've tried many different ways, no avail. Okay. So chords in stage view. I don't even know. Where would you find the chord? Oh, so you have to have them in your song though, right? You got to have the chords already there in the media, right? Let me see here. I don't have any songs that have chords in them. Songs. Pretty sure does not have the capability for chroma key, but you can do it if you use OBS. Absolutely. That's true, Brian. Brent Davis says join the club about knowing about music. All right, let me see here. Look, I'm gonna give it my best shot. So I'm gonna pull up this here. So my question to you guys is, where do I find the chords? Let's see here. If I type a look, I guess you could put a key in here and it'll do something. Stefan, how did you get the chords to show up to begin with? Give me a tip. I know you said a screenshot. You could email me if you want to. You can send me an email, or I'm trying to think about the best way. Yeah, send me an email at gary@garybjr.com. You can do that. And that's you can or you can just go to my website and it should allow you to do that as well. You can go to it and let me see here. I don't know if it'll let you put a picture in there or not. Now that I think about it. Let's see. We go here. This is just the site. Let's see. On the bottom. Huh. I wanted to chat. I thought I had an option for chat in there. And it shows up on my phone really easily. But I don't see it here. Let's see. A simple solution is blog. That's cool. About. If I go here, let's see. There used to be a little icon down here for that. I need to make sure turn on my chat to make sure people can chat with me. But yeah, so I'm logged in. That's my settings. I don't see it, but you can send me an email and we can go from there for the screenshot because I am curious about that. I am curious about how to get the chords to show up. So down here, is it down here? The chords down here? These are actions. That's the global. There's that. That's not chords. I know that if you use Chums, the church management software through FreeShow, that will also bring in chords into your songs as well. And that's something that I'm actually working on. I just don't use it enough. I have to edit the show and add the chords, like a. Uh-huh. And so but Stefan, how do you add the chords in? Like that's the question. Do you add them in FreeShow or do you add them somewhere else? That would be my question. Do you add the chords in FreeShow or do you add them from another program and they just come in with it? Because I know there's a music worship leaders and stuff. They have different programs they use that they download or like get the songs that have the chords and they can pick maybe the note or the key they're going to be doing it in or whatever. But the chords are there and that comes with the song. So I'm thinking it's something that comes with the music and I just don't have them in minds. But I know that in the stage view there's this option, this part right here. So in the progress, I got this option that says type, and then it shows the groups. That's what I first thought about. And it's got groups here. So this is showing uh, the different parts of the show. So if this was a song that I was in instead of let's see here, I'll pull up this. All right. So let's go back to stage view. You'll see it show the verse, the chorus, but that's not chorus. That's just the progress of the actual um, the song itself, the grouping of the song. So I know about that as a progress option, but from a chorus perspective, I really don't know. That's a good question. You added in FreeShow with the chords. I'm mailing it to you now. You added in FreeShow with the chords. All right. Very cool. Very cool. Let's see here. Where do you add chords? Oh, where I need to go into edit. Oh, there we go. So on the right side, we got chords and it's on. That's all I know. It's active and I don't even know what, I mean, I see it, but how do you put them in there would be my question. It says vertical offset. There's none. And so it seems like I would need to have it in there somewhere, but I don't have it in there. So interesting, interesting, interesting. All right. But yeah, so this is, I see where you can, where they manipulated it, I should say. I don't know if that's where they actually are. So if I go to item, if I do text box, now I'm just playing around with this thing to see if I can figure it out. I'm gonna pull this down and I'm gonna bring it down. Like, I don't even know what chords look like, y'all. All right, let's see here. Click chord at the bottom of your edit screen and then click on the word and select a chord. Oh, the bottom of my edit screen. Ah, I see it. All right, so I click on that. And then what? Let's see. Click at the bottom of your edit screen and then click on the word and select a chord. Oh, snap. Oh, oh my goodness. Never seen that before in my life. Now that is sweet. So I'm gonna just play with it. Don't fault me for not knowing anything about any of this. I'm gonna just pick a chord here. I'm gonna say, okay, select this chord, C. Got it. And then I'm gonna do it. We'll do here. We're gonna do chord E. Thanks, Claude. That is awesome. Claude from Canada. I remember Canada. All right. So we got that there. And if we go to stage view, the issue was, so I can see it here on the current slide like this. Now the question, Stefan, is what were you dealing with? You're saying it was inconsistent. I can see the C and the E here. But let me see what it looks like if I turn on my stage, because I don't have my stage on right now. So let's turn on the stage view. And I'm in outputs. Let me turn on my stage. Boom. All right. And so it's showing up there. And I guess my question to Stefan is, Stefan, were you expecting to show up somewhere different? That's the question. So let me go back to edit because that was kind of cool. All right. So, oh, snap. I don't see my chords anymore here. Okay. So they're there. I just got to go there to see it. And then I can go to text edit. Okay. That's different. So the text edit is cool here. I like that. But if I come back out, okay. Oh man, you guys are teaching. I learned something new today. This is fun. So this is the stuff about understanding free show, you guys. This is the Q&A time, but this is, I must say it's not beginner level stuff, but at the same time, if you are musically inclined, this is like rudimentary, I'm sure. This is like simple stuff. For somebody like me, oh, this is like top of the list, grade A. This is PhD level stuff. All right, so if I click on anywhere, any of these words, I can click on a letter and make a new chord. And then I just select. And it says set a custom value. So you can type in something there. And then there's these types. This is musical stuff. Major, I'm guessing major and minor, maybe. G major. Oh, so it says, oh, that's pretty cool. Okay, so Steph said he just emailed me. Okay, I'll check that out, Stefan. Let's see here. And I got my phone on Do Not Disturb, so I never saw anything come up. Okay. Yeah, I see what you got this there, and then you're saying, because I see the chords. It looks like the chords are showing up on the email that you showed me. Let's see here. Could help guitar and bass players showing chords. Oh yeah, for sure. It helps a lot. I'm sure it helps a lot of musicians. So it says, just email, excuse the Africans. That's okay. I tried to find a good example, and the only one I could find now, sometimes it is worse. Okay. And so I'm gonna look at this closer. So I think what the issue is, it looks like they're all showing up on the stage view though, from what I can see. And I guess maybe it's missing some, is what you said originally. And unfortunately, I just wouldn't know. um, how to determine what's missing or not just because of my own experience, unfortunately, bro. I'm sorry about that. But I do see the email. Thank you for sending that. This is something that if you are looking at this and you're in the chat or you're watching it after it's already been aired and you have an answer for this, please leave a comment in the chat and I will make sure to send an email to Steph and to see if we can figure this out together. So he's sent me one, but it looks similar to what I've got here. And I'm just comparing it to make sure that it's not anything different for it. But so you were going here, Stefan, to do it, right? You were going to chords and adding them in there manually yourself. Is that right? Or were you getting them imported and you couldn't add them all in, right? But they're all here. I mean, look, I said they're all here. I have no clue if this is all the chords, but there's a lot of stuff here. M, what is M? Min, minor, MIN is minor. What is the M, I wonder? Somebody tell me, what does M mean in this type? And the sus. Sus to me means suspect, but what does it mean here? This is hilarious. All right, so I'm just gonna select that one there, and this one will be a something. Yeah. So Stephen says the stage view is what is set up for 2 slides in advance. Nothing is missing, but the chorus displays over the lyrics. Oh. And you don't want in some okay, I got you. Some of the parts of it is kind of overlapping at the top. I think that's what you're saying. I see that for the E, EK and then the LOOF. I'm not sure what those words are. Like you said, that's the African, so I get that. But let's see here. So I go to the stage view now. The only thing I would say is I wonder if you have your text. So right here, I got my text set to keep style. Let's see if I turn that off. If you turn it off, it does overlap because it's just so big. And see how this C is over the top? And you guys can see that, right? Let me make sure. Okay, yeah. See how this C in the G major? I think that's what that stands for. Forgive me if I'm wrong. It's over the. That's the part. So if I turn on keep style though, it actually does fit a little better. And if let's see, include media, offset, item number, because the thing about it is you don't get to, so I could turn the chords off, but you don't get to, in the stage view, you can't like make it say shrink to fit, all that kind of stuff. It literally is going to expand it to be as big as it can be, or you can make it keep the style. Those are the only options you got, right? And so let's see, this is yeah, so that's this one. That's what it looks like here. But in this view, it just shows that way. So that's kind of the idea. So sus is suspended. Oh, okay. Thanks, Brian. And okay, so Stephen says, okay, so I'm 100% right. So that's the only thing. So if you do want it to be a bigger view, you do run the risk of it overlapping. And that's the challenge. And that is a challenge. When it says keep style, it actually pops it up super big, super size, right? To where everything now is looking like this, right? So the C and the E is running off the page. The G major is there, overlapping and so forth. So that can be hard for the music team. Yeah, we have to figure that out because I think what could possibly be the case that they can do as a development, they might be able to say, okay, let's make if there's chords in it, we're going to make more space to make sure the chords are not overlapping with the text. That's my guess. And with Stefan, would that fix the challenge that you feel like you're running into? Is that you just don't need it to overlap like that, right? And that would possibly alleviate the issues you've been running into. Because let me go back to see what you originally said. Chords on stage view. So can I seem to get it to display correctly? Yeah. Try many different ways, no avail. Okay, so displaying correctly, it wasn't about the chords not being the right chord. It was literally just about them overlapping. And so I would say, for now at least, hit that option that says keep style, and then work with it from there to be available for your team. And it's still overlapping a little bit to me. I mean, when I see that AM is overlapping with the Alleluia and so forth. So I don't know if there's a way to customize that. And maybe there's a feature that could be requested that it says, okay, can we put some spacing? So, I can change the size So, oh, wait, vertical offset. I mean, you can raise it up, right? So down here at the bottom, you can raise it up, and you probably played with this already too, to where it won't do that. But if I do the turn off the keep style, I can raise it up, but it kind of goes away. It literally goes off the screen, right? So I cannot, let me show you guys what I'm seeing. So I raised up the vertical offset so they're not overlapping with the letters. And when I did that, it did make them run off the page a bit. Okay. And so that is a challenge that I'm glad you brought that to my attention. You can feel free to make a GitHub request or issue request. If not, um, let me know. And you know, you can tell me in the chat or whatever, and I can try to do one as well. I'm just not going to be as eloquent about it as you probably would be. So GitHub is something that I recommend you guys get familiar with if you have not already, because they are very responsive, right? So GitHub and Reddit. So I'm gonna pull this up and let you guys see what it looks like. If I go to issues, all right. And so this is the GitHub church apps slash free show issues. Okay. And what you would do is you just go to this page. I just go to GitHub and just do a search for free show, and it'll pop up to this page. And all you're doing is going to the right and just selecting new issue. And then it says, okay, is it a bug? Is it a feature request? Or is it a blank issue? And what you're talking about, to me, I would call it some kind of, I would say it's a bug to help improve the stability. And then this is a feature saying, suggest a new feature or improvement. It's borderline either one, because the chords are working. They're actually there. So this will kind of improve them. So I can see you making it a feature request or reporting a bug saying, hey, they're overlapping and they shouldn't be. And they're running off the page on the stage view. They shouldn't be. That's completely adequate to do as well. And then if you select the bug report, all it does is says, okay, describe it. And I just highlight this stuff and delete it and just type in what the issue is. And then if you have a picture of the screenshots like you've got, you can actually drag those into here and it'll save it. It says you can paste, drop, or click to add files. So those pictures you got, just drag them into here. That's what the screenshots are as well. And then it just asks you what type of program are you using, what type of operating system. So you just select one of those and delete the rest. And then the free show version you want to put in this case, I'm using 1.4.5. So you would put in 1.4.5 if you're using the same. And that's pretty much it. And then you would put a title for sure. So put a title up there. And then if you have other things, you might say, hey, I really just want it to be, I don't know, I want it to be smaller, I want it to be bigger, or whatever, you know, details of what if there's additional information. All right. And you will create that. And I promise you, like you'll see these, a lot of these are not, like if it's a bug, you won't see it probably be, let's see here, they'll be closed pretty quick and easy, but these are all open. So this is open. So can't cut text in the text edit mode. There's been some conversation. There's been 3 comments about it. Let's see here, update media slides. I've made some suggestions and they were fixed pretty quick. So you might be able to get this particular issue if you can present it in a way that makes sense for the solution. They shouldn't have a problem with trying to address that. All right, let's see here. Someone says I tried keep style, but it messed up my whole slide. I'll play around with it after the video. Interesting. I wonder what did it do to mess up your slide, Stefan? I'm curious now. So when you said keep style, it messed up the whole slide. And so the style is really based on what your template is that you're using for that show. That's what it's going to be basing it off of. Earlier I asked a question about green screen. Yes, I got you, Brian. Let's see here. So green screen. And so, Brian, your question about green screen, I thought you were making a statement at first, to be honest with you. I'm glad you brought it back up. Let me see here. Let me try to find that question. All right. FreeShow does not have the capability for chroma key, but you can do it if you use it with OBS. Can you show us how? Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. So yeah, in FreeShow, this is one of those updates, right? So that idea of, so there's a couple ways to do this depending on what you're using. So I'm going to show you guys what it looks like if you're just using FreeShow directly to OBS as opposed to FreeShow to a YOLO box or Zoom or something like that, right? So for my use case, the way I recommend doing it for this situation, straight from FreeShow, is to go into your settings and then go to styles. And I'm gonna do this beginner training style here. So the background, the slide, and the overlays, all those need to be on. Okay, I say all of them. The background at least needs to be on, but the background color you would dictate right here. All right. So you make the green. You just make it green. All right. So the background color is going to always be green. And then when you do your, so I got big and bold for my template. I got scripture big for my template for my scriptures. I got 2 slides or 2 lines per slide. Now you've got that set. So whenever you show or use this beginner, I got this, mine's is called beginner training. And I'm going to name it again. I'm going to rename it to say beginner training green. All right. And so I've got that set there. That's my style. I'm going to change. This is going to be hilarious. This is going to be interesting to show. It's going to probably go green for a second and I have to do it. And then I'll show you what I did, if that makes sense. So I'm going to change my live stream output. Right now I've got a live stream output active. And this is how you guys are seeing the Q&A down at the bottom down there and how you're seeing the title up at the top. That's literally just another free show layer. It's this layer. This is my live stream. I'm going to switch the style of it to be all green. Right now it's all transparent. So this is where I would say when it comes to green screen with OBS, you don't need it. You don't need green screen. You literally can just make your window transparent. That would be my recommendation to begin with, is that use NDI and just make the window transparent because OBS accepts NDI. All right. Now, if you're trying to send this out through an actual cable, this is where the reason why green screen exists is because transparency doesn't travel through HDMI, and I don't think it travels through SDI either. I'm pretty sure it doesn't. But green or blue, whatever screen you pick, it does, right? And so people said, okay, we're going to make this be an option, all right? So they use green screen to do that, to carry a signal over a physical cable. If you're saying you're trying to get a signal to OBS, personally, I would say just go into your output settings here and just go to the option that says transparent and turn on NDI and send that same signal and you turn it on. So this is my stage view. Let me go to my primary. So my primary, it's not transparent. It is not an invisible window. And then my live stream though, check it out. It's both. It's both transparent and it's an invisible window, meaning it's not connected to any cords or anything like that to go out. It's just it's like a fictitious or a dummy window in a sense. It's just out wherever anybody wants to connect to it on the NDI network, they can. And so I've got both of those on, and now I can change this and I can say beginner training green. I don't know why I started playing that. That's weird. Let me go to my show and see what's going on. That is weird. And you guys can still hear me. That's hilarious. Let me clear this out. Let's clear the background. Okay. I don't know why that show started playing when I changed that. That was weird, but I've got it set to where that particular live stream output is using the beginner training green, but I got it set to transparent still. So if I turn transparent off, check it out. It goes completely green. This is why it's hard to train it on you guys, but you guys are seeing literally what my live stream feed full window looks like without transparent on. Okay. All right. So now I'm gonna turn it back off for now and let's bring up OBS. So I'm gonna pull up OBS into the window. I'm just popping out my chat so I can still see those separate. And we'll pull this out. All right. And let's see here. This is the internet. All right. We'll put OBS into this screen. Boom. All right. So OBS is here. You guys can see me seeing OBS and all that good stuff. It's kind of weird, but it's there. All right. So now we got to make a whole new thing. I'm gonna make a whole new scene for this. So I'm gonna say plus down here in the bottom left, and I'm gonna let me cancel that first. I'm gonna turn on studio mode because I don't know what it'll do here, but I'm gonna make a new scene. I'm gonna call this chroma key. Hit OK. And now it says, okay, well, what do you want to have in this particular show? I'm going to say plus, and I'm going to select NDI source. All right. And I'm going to pick green NDI is what I'm going to call it. And I'm going to call it green NDI live stream. And this is just for me to know what it is. You can name it whatever you want. Like I said, if you're using this as your primary source, you can call it whatever your primary source is. All right. Then it pops up and says, okay, well, what is the green NDI going to be? And I'm going to say live stream. Okay. All right. So it shows up. Now, this is something that happens a lot, and I don't know why it happens so often in OBS. I think it's an OBS thing because it's not just with FreeShow. This is some other settings down here. I'm not worried about those. But notice on the left side, my title bar is super big. And the reality is not that big. So I'm going to say okay here. And now I've got my one source, the Green NDI live stream. I'm going to right click on that. And I'm going to change it to be, you got to go to transform. And I select the option that says fit to screen. Because these little diagonal bars on the side here, and at the bottom, I should say, those are really saying, hey, you're running over your canvas. Okay. So I'm going to say fit to screen. And now everything I want is there. But remember, it's not green yet. So I'm going to turn off on my current show. Let's see. I'm in FreeShow split screen. No, I'm in FreeShow share screen. All right. I'm going to turn off the FreeShow live stream here. So you guys can't see uh, they're not gonna, it's not gonna affect us basically. That's the goal. All right, let's go back to my, what did I call that? Chroma key. Is that the one I called it? Okay, here we go. All right, so we got that there. I'm gonna turn on in FreeShow the green screen option. So I'm gonna go to live stream and I'm gonna go to that style. No, I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna turn off transparent. Boom. All right. So let's go back. All right, so it's still there. Let me turn off the, no, I don't want to do that. I'm gonna do split screen, FreeShow sharing. Let me transition here real quick. All right. So you guys can still see me, but I'm gonna go back to that green screen option that you guys can see too. The chroma key. All right, so it's completely green. Now it's completely green. So we got to do some changes to it. So I'm gonna right click on it and we can go to this option called filters. And in the filters, it's got audio video filters, and then you got effect filters. And I can't remember which one. I'm pretty sure it's effects. So I'm looking here. Yeah, this is audio. Yeah. All right. So go to effect, the plus sign there, and you got Luma key, and you got color key, and you got chroma key. So I'm gonna just select chroma key, and I'm gonna say okay. And now it says color type default. It's defaults to just green, right? And it just shows you a preview over here. Notice everything here went black. So I'm gonna say close. And so now if I show some lyrics, so I'm gonna go back into FreeShow, and I'm gonna go to an actual song. Notice here, check out my song. So I'm gonna go there, and it shows up here. Now that's interesting. I didn't know it would show those chords on my actual show. What's up with that? We'll deal with that. All right, but let me go back into so check it out. My green chroma key in OBS is completely blank, but my overlay is there and my lyrics are there, but the screen is not black. Like I said, if you're going straight to OBS, I would just use NDI and turn on transparent to avoid all of that. But let's see here. Let me go here. Let's see here. Make sure I didn't miss any questions. Our switcher filters out the green when set to chroma key. Yeah. So this is good for if you're sending this signal to a switcher. That's the most important thing. It's a physical hard line HDMI cord coming out of your computer to another device. This is where green screen is important, right? Because if you want the unless you're going to have the background completely full with some type of background, purple, green, orange, whatever that you want to have as a motion graphic or a scene or whatever it is, then you're going to want to have green screen because you want it to be transparent. And this is typically used when you're trying to do some type of lower thirds, right? Some overlay with some lower thirds, because then you're going to have a camera behind there. And so it would be me adding in, I'll add in another here. So we'll do video capture device. And I'm going to select I got both of these saying GH5. I don't even remember which one is which. Let's see if that'll do it. Nope, that wasn't it. Let me get rid of that one. I had two different, let me remove that. And so it's the one with the capital GH. Let's do here. And we'll say add existing. Let's see. All right, so there I am, but I'm on top. So I need to bring this GH5 layer below the green screen layer. And this is typically the reason why you use some kind of green screen. Now, my black bars on the side, ignore that. That's literally the format of the ratio of my camera. My camera is actually recording in a taller format than it is wide. It's not shooting 16:9. So that's why that is. But it helps when I'm actually trying to do what you guys see here. When I try to cut off a piece of me, it's not cutting in quite as much. It's an effect. It's a thing. All right. So that's something to understand as the reason why. But typically, this would be like a lower thirds thing. It wouldn't be right above, right in the middle. Sometimes you'll see it that way, but not often. All right. So let me go back and I'm gonna come back out and pull this out the way. Does that help answer your question though, Brian? About how and what you can use green screen for is more important to me. I think understanding when it's used is going to hopefully help you. Like I said, if you just send it to OBS, um, you don't necessarily have to do green screen. You can just do a wireless NDI feed, and so going back to what even with what David said, for me, I would actually send everything to OBS, my switcher feed, and my NDI feed from FreeShow. I would send it all to OBS. I wouldn't even do it from a switcher, but a lot of people like to use their switcher to do their live streaming. I'm not that person. I prefer to do my streaming from my computer, mostly because my computer is strong enough to manage it, and or just another computer. I wouldn't even have to. I wouldn't worry about it being my computer that I'm doing free show from. I would still use a computer to do it. That's just my personal preference because I don't like the interfaces of the ATEM switchers. I don't like how their interfaces work. So that's just me in terms of the green screen stuff and all that. It's more cumbersome than it is easy to understand for me for some reason. And I'm not gonna say it's that way for everybody. It's that way for me. And I'm like, I'd rather just do something that I can interact with a little bit easier. All right. And so that's how green screen will work on there. And so when it comes to you guys using it, you have the complete freedom. Let me go into to my free show stuff. You have the complete freedom to make it whatever you want. Okay. And so let me go into my settings and undo some of that. And let's change this to be stream training. All right. So that's good. I'm gonna turn it back on my stuff here. Oh, and I need to turn this to be transparent. Boom. There we go. All right. So all that's set up and done. But what's interesting to me is my question to you guys that use the chord stuff. Is it supposed to show the chords on here too? On my actual presentation? Like what's up with that? And this might have been something you run into as well, Steph. And let me know. Yeah, I just mailed you the first English example that I could get. I try to do it as complete as possible if you want to come back to this. I do just because I'm looking at this now that it's showing like that. Like, what's up with that? This is my primary output. So this is what, like when you guys do chords, it's not supposed to show up for everybody, right? So if I go here to my settings here, I see it. I would expect it to show up on the stage view, but is it supposed to show up for the audience too? Is there a way to disable it? I can see that I got it on. Am I supposed to turn it off here? Let me see. If I do that, it didn't go away. Let me refresh. Let me see here. Okay, that goes away there. Oh, that was me. All right, so I needed to disable this, but it's still showing up here, which is good. So I wanted to show up there. All right, so note to self. In the edit page, the chords is a menu item at the bottom. They can be on, right? Or they can be off. So they can be enabled or disabled on the primary display is what we're showing here. And in the stage, so I'm gonna turn them off here because I don't want them to show up. But on the stage display, you got the same option, a similar option, I should say, not the same option. But if I go here and select it, I can choose to show or not show the chords on the stage. And I didn't understand that because this is my first time actually ever using the chords. So you guys have taught me a great deal today. I appreciate that. Let's see here. It definitely shouldn't show in your main output. I agree, Stephen. I'm glad you pointed that out. So I'm glad it didn't stay that way, which would have been a bummer. Let's see here. I'm trying to find my email. Okay. So he said he sent me another one. Let's see. Yeah, I can see what you're saying. They're just kind of overlapping and kind of all over. The thing I would say, it's still not going to fix it though, is that you do have a lot of text in those. This is with keep style off. The references are paste of the text edit in the song. And then this is if I have an English example. Yeah, that's just a lot of words on the screen. That would be my first thought, that there's just a lot of words on there. So I'll make this song from what you got here. And so Stephanie sent me actually the lyrics. Let me go back into Free Show and I'm gonna just do a new show so we can look at it together real quick, and then we'll go on to the next topic, which is pre-recording your show. Okay, so I'm gonna do new show, and look, what's the name of this song, Stefan? Thousand Generations falling down. I'm gonna give this show a new name. Definitely shouldn't show in your main. I'm gonna call this Stefan song for now. All right. So trying to reduce the leaks. We're gonna see. I'm gonna show you exactly what I'm thinking could help. So I'm gonna paste in what you gave me. So I'm gonna paste this all in. Um, and I'm guessing these characters here are actual chords, right? The G2 and BM7 are those chords. That is cool. That's crazy cool. Okay. Sorry. All right. Options. All right. Max lines per slide. I'm gonna do probably 2. I know that you got some parts that have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if I keep it like this, what it end up happening is all 5 of these lines will be on one slide. When I make my shows, I try to do it here, but you can also adjust this in your settings for the style. You can say, hey, I'm gonna limit this style to where it's only gonna show 2 lines per slide, but I'm gonna do it here just to kind of create the show to begin with. And then let's say format text, that's fine. And I'm gonna say new show, Stefan song. Oh, it's called Holy Forever. I just saw it. I'm sorry. It's got your name on it for now. I'm not trying to do any copyright infringement for those who wrote the song. Forgive me. We're just doing this for training purposes. All right. And so now I've got the song, and if I go to edit, will it show the chords? Ooh, wow, look at that. So it shows the chords because he put them in those little brackets, or they were in the brackets when I copied and pasted it, which is really sweet. And then down here, whoa, chord, choose a chord. It's got all these chords down here. Man, music fascinates me, you guys. I say it fascinates me because I know so little about it. So anything I don't know a lot about, I'm fascinated to learn anything about it. So I'm a learner just as much as I'm a trainer. So that's a big part of me wanting to train and loving to train. All right. So I can turn those on and off, and that's off for now. But on the stage, it shows up here and it looks decent for me on the stage, but I also have it to where it's showing let me go to my stage edit view. What's it called? That option. I got it showing the keep style. So if I turn off keep style, it just got real funky. It blew up and then it shrunk down. Let's see here. Keep style, turn it back on. It does that. I think it was trying to get big and it doesn't stay big for some reason. Um, Item number, invert items, no. So I would say that does help to keep style when you have a limit of two per um 2 lines per slide. And then the thing about it, that the dislike, and it may not be that big a deal because your text was probably already about this big anyway, with all those lines. This just now just makes it to where your chords are not overlapping your text, because mine's are not overlapping, but I did do a vertical offset of 11. Okay, so I can do it bigger, but it's going to start going up to the stuff above it. So that 11 is kind of a sweet spot. 10 would be fine as well. It gets right over the I. This gets over the F. And so it's good that way. But you can also shrink them down to make the chords smaller, which is kind of cool. Let's see if I make them bigger, will it make more space? Yeah, if we make them bigger, it should make, no, it's overlapping. There we go. So that D is overlapping up top. So let me see if I bring it down. Yeah. So you got to find that sweet spot. I think it was at 60 or something like that. Let me see. 60 is the size, and then my positioning, I raise it up to be around 10 or 11, and it's kind of sweet. But like you said, you got to massage it and play with it a little bit to get it exactly how you want for your song. Um, that would be my recommendation for that, Stefan. Let's see here. It certainly helps on my side as well, but it doesn't fix it. Yeah, yeah. That would be something I would recommend. Put a note in GitHub and ask them about ways to more. I would say it needs to be more ways to set up your line spacing in the stage view. That would fix it. If you said, "Hey, I want to change my line spacing in stage view," like you can do in the edit page. So on here, I can change. Let's see, is it the lines? Yeah, my line spacing. Maybe they can add a line spacing option in the stage view to where you can make more space, right? So I can keep pushing this up, and now the spacing between my lines gets bigger. It's that simple. And That would be my thought, at least, is that it should just be an option to change the line spacing, and that should fix your issue. All right. I always had 2 lines in the Pro and Pro Presenter, so I will keep that layout in FreeShow. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Is that for me? I'm open to 1 or 2 lines, depending on how long the song is. From a media standpoint, sometimes it's easier to make it 1 line, and also how many words they got in that 1 line. But then also, it's also cool to have it as with the 2 lines as well. It's a little bit more streamlined and easier to manage from a slide progression standpoint as well. Um, so we kind of talked a little about free show settings, and if you guys have more questions, drop them in. But we did go through quite a few of the settings just in playing around with things. So I showed you guys about outputs. We talked about styles. The connections are here as well. This is something that I don't need these on, but you can have your connections on to where you can actually send this signal over the network to your phone or tablet or another computer, and they can connect to it that way. And this is another cool deal too. So you can output a show over the network and not using NDI, but literally just over the network, and go to your browser and type in the IP address that pops up. You can type this in on your browser, and you can connect to any device, any screen in the house or in another room, in another part of the ministry, the church or whatever. You can put a computer connected to a TV and just do it this way, and not have to run a cable that comes from the switcher or whatever it is. You can just connect the computer and wirelessly go to the browser on this particular IP address, and it'll pull up the output that everybody's seeing in-house. But you're on the other side of the church, right? Or the other side of the building, in a sense, right? In another room. And let's see, setting the spacing in stage view is an excellent example. I'll try and do a request like that. Yeah, I think that'd be a cool thing for them to understand, because it's there for the edit slide. It's just not there for the edit for the stage view. All right. Some people have asked about file management in FreeShow, like trying to get the files into another computer. And that's going to the files option here in the settings, and just go to the bottom and select backup everything. All right. That's a cool thing. Just back up everything and you'll be able to have those files. But you also can find your files that you created from these data locations here. And you just hit the little arrow there, and it'll take you to that particular folder in your computer. All right. Let me see. This is cool to delete duplicated shows. And then there's options here. This is more advanced stuff like error logs and cache folders and stuff like that. And then the theme, this is more customization option for you to just change the look of your free show feel. Like I've got the blue, just called blue, right? And I don't know I think that's default. I didn't make that up. They got a terminal view as well that just changes the look of it, right? So let's do the next topic. Who in here has ever pre-recorded their show to automatically play later on? Has anybody ever done that before? I really want to know this. This is something that I'm curious on, because I've been recording something. So the next video, hopefully you get from me guys, that I upload, is going to probably be something about that, about automatically letting your shows play based on your recorded timing. Has anybody ever done that? If you have not, I'm going to show you a tip on how to do it. My first thoughts with it out the gate is, so Claude says yes, he does. And Claude, so give me some feedback on the way that you do it in comparison to what I'm going to show here, and tell me if there's a better way that you've used it and you've seen some experience with it that is going to help everybody else out. This is just a big community, so we love to hear the feedback. And so far, you guys have been doing great, just giving me some good feedback. So I'm gonna use this song. This is what did Stefan say his name? Holy Forever is the name of this song. Okay. For now it's called Stefan's song, but that's just because it's here. Let me see. If I right click on this, will it let me? I can rename it from here. Okay, I'll rename it Stefan. I don't want to give false advertising. Oh, Forever. All right. Boom. So I renamed the song, and I've never seen this song before. It might be popular for you guys, so you guys may know it. But this is the song. I'm not going to go through the recording process altogether because I don't have the actual MP3 or WAV file of it. But my recommendation is to get the MP3 or get the WAV file, and add that into your computer. So you need to download the actual recording, like the musical singing of it. If you can't do that, the other option is to do it during worship practice. Okay, where you're actually at free show, they're on stage or wherever they're singing from in the front of the building, and you're running through the song with them. The band is playing in real time, and you're literally recording yourself go from one slide to the next. That's literally how this works. All right. So the idea that I would have with any show, that my recommendation is with everybody, is go to your edit page, and with any show, always have a blank slide at the beginning. So I'm going to go to, I'm on my first slide now. I'm going to say new slide, and we'll drag this up to the top. Will it go up there? I don't know where it just went. I think it went to the bottom. All right, let me go back out. I'm going to keep that there. And did it change the order? That's where it becomes a challenge because I don't know the song. So I hope it didn't change the order. I think that's right. Thousand Generations was always there, I think. All right. So I'll just pull this one down. And the reason this is so hard for me, you guys, is because my mouse has been exaggerated. I made it bigger than what it really is. And so it's hard for me to control. Oh my goodness. I lost. This is hilarious. But so it keeps going to the bottom. But that's what's going on. I hate that keeps happening, but that's just because my mouse is elongated, so it's not actually accurate where it is. But we're gonna act like this is the song in order. You won't have that problem, but my mouse is just super big because for training, I want to make sure you guys can see it, so it's just exaggerated. Um, yeah, Stephen, I definitely agree with you too. So Stephen says he's planning to do a pre-recording sometime. All right, now I got my blank slide on the show. This is where you would actually put the actual MP3 or WAV file song. And so you would do that from your audio page. And this is the song. This is the song I'll be working with. So I can drag that on here. This is an MP3, I think it is. And it goes up there. It's the first line, and usually, in those who have a musical background, you can tell me what it's called. When the song starts, the musicians or the band, or whoever it is, even though if it's just an MP3 track, there's just music that's playing first. Nobody's singing right away, not typically. There's a build up, or I don't know if it's called, it's not a riff, but it's the beginning of the song. All right, the setup. After that, you want to have the lyrics show up. You don't necessarily need to have the lyrics show up on the very beginning because there's nothing to show. And then after they start singing, you go to the first slide like that, right? Oh, and this is the song. Let me stop it. So whenever you have that song on the first slide, it automatically starts to play too. All right. And so I've got my song. What you would do next is you would go over here to the little arrow on the right side of media, and you'll see more options. So you'll see metadata, and you'll see this option that says recording. You can hit start recording and then start your show. And you would clear all first. So you would want to clear everything out because I already got the music kind of started already and all that stuff. You would just clear all and then hit start recording and then go to your show and hit the first slide. The music will start playing. And if it's an actual track of the song, you would just arrow through the song like you normally would and just change the slides as the song plays along with the words that you're hearing. And then when you're done, this will be an option that says stop recording. So you'll stop the recording, and every one of your tracks, not every one of your tracks, every one of your slides will be listed here with the time frame that they're showing up, right? And then it'll be a little icon, a little circle record icon in the top corner, like an action that says, hey, when this has already been recorded. So when you start this show, it's going to automatically play with that timing that you already pre-recorded. So that's a video that's coming out sooner than later. That's more of an intermediate level process to me when it comes to using FreeShow. I think a lot of people that use Pro Presenter, they probably have a feature like that they like to use. I don't know what it's called in Pro Presenter. David, do you use something like that in Pro Presenter? The like the preset, and those who've used it, you can let me know too. Any other program, because I don't think in OpenLP, I don't remember ever being able to do that, but I hadn't used it in a little while. So the intro, okay. So the intro part is what that beginning of the music is. But what's it called in Pro Presenter? Those who've used it, where you have this pre-recorded piece where it actually just plays automatically. Like it's basically like an automatic show to where you can just start it up. And if you have no band, right, this basically turns into like a lyric video, right? To where you're literally playing the track and you're making your own lyric video. You can have your own background to it and all that kind of stuff, just like you would with any other show. So we can put a background to it. So I'll do one of my own backdrops. I'm gonna go to my, I got my favorites. I'll do my favorites. I'll just pick one of these. I got all these. I'll put in, so many to pick from. I'll do my bubbles. You can put your bubble background in there. And so now when the track plays, it'll have this bubble background and it'll just play. It'll go through every time you start that show. You hit the first track. You don't have to hit anything else. It'll automatically play on time every time. All right. And so if you have to, like I said, you'll see the video later on, you can adjust the timing. You can adjust the seconds that it starts or ends and all that kind of stuff as well. So that's pretty cool. All right. The hard part for me is I'm not musical, right? So typically with the churches I've worked with in the past as a part of the media team, the worship leader would always input the songs. And then on Sundays, he would input the songs on worship practice, maybe on Thursday, exactly how they wanted to sing them. And that was what I asked him. I said, hey, we need to have it exactly how you're going to sing it. Every word needs to be shown every time you say that word. I want it to be a separate slide. I don't want it to be, we have to, because me knowing me, like I know I don't know anything about music. So if I'm the only one there, for example, and there might have been 3 or 4 people on the team, but if I'm the only one there and you going back to the top of the chorus or the bridge or the hook or whatever it is, I won't know where to go. It needs to be progressive, just one slide at a time. And so he would do that exactly how they practice it because they might have put their own little twist to it. Perfect. That's fine. Doesn't bother me at all. I just need to know that I need to go to the next slide. And next slide. Whenever I see the words change, I'm going to the next slide. And so once you set your words up, you can do that. And that's what my recommendation would be when you have something like this. Unless you're the musician, you can literally just go back to a certain slide and then go to another slide and scroll through this and all that kind of stuff if you want to. I still think it's easier just to have everything all lined out, every word, all right, on a separate slide. And then the final point that I wanted to make that came up from a comment um, from another discussion we've had on probably on a Free Show Friday, and I may have made. I'm pretty sure those entire church setup videos I've brought it up at least, right? I may not have talked about it in depth, but there's this option in Free Show. We talked about people, in the post, the little poll that I did about actions, right? So customizing actions, they've come so far from where I started with Free Show. So if you started with me 6 months ago, or maybe some of you guys been doing this for maybe a year, it's so much more um, customization you can do with your actions now that it's easy to forget there's so many options now. So let's talk about just a bit the basic place that you first when the basic place you'll find actions is in the function tab. All right. In the function tab, you're going to see a whole section called actions just on the left side. And here you have a list of any actions you've ever created and they'll be there. I got MIDI actions in here. I've got some, this is some training actions for a church called Bloomington that I did a training on. These are my fireworks, right? So if I should have been using these, but you guys are giving me answers, giving questions and stuff. I should have been making those pop up. Um, and I got a button for it and everything on my tablet, and I just forget to do it. So you guys got to remind me in the next time. Like, hey Gary, when we ask a question, I need my fireworks. Okay. But so you can have these actions do all kinds of stuff. And all you do is hit new action and you would name it whatever you want to. And you can activate it by key pressing. When I first started playing with this, that was a big deal. I was like, oh, I'm gonna do C for clear and all this. But I started realizing I'm gonna make actions for all kind of stuff. I don't really do the key press. I don't do a custom. The custom activation thing has to do with, I believe that has to do with a trigger. And so if you have triggers, you can do that, but I don't have any triggers created. All right. And so this is where you want to get, this is the bread and butter of actions. It's a start action. Like what's the action you want to start when this is selected or when it's added to a slide? And you got a whole list, all kinds of stuff. You can change stuff with the project. You can make it open and all that kind of stuff. Show, you can make it start a show. And you can make it move a slide in the show, or move the show up or down. Slides, we got all kinds of slides, actions you can do. Let's see here. Oh, it looks like somebody knows you, Stefan. Big time, big time. What's going on? Hacker Demus. I think that's how you say it. Hacker Demus. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Um, and then you got options to clear and all that kind of stuff, right? Now, what I would say is at first glance, the first thing I used to think about is, okay, I'm gonna make a library of actions I'm gonna put into this actions category or folder in Free Show. And I started doing that. As I got more comfortable with Free Show, I started thinking, I need a certain slide to do a certain thing. And so then I started thinking, I'm gonna make this action for a certain slide action, right? So you got this option now in the media. You can do start screens, you can do start cameras, you can start effects and start overlays as an action, right? So for me, you could say, I don't know, every time not me, for you guys, let's say, for example, every time you get to the chorus of your song, you might say, hey, I wanted to um, play a certain action. So you can drag an action onto the course. And maybe you wanted to show snowfall or fireworks or change the background, right? You can change the background, all kind of stuff, right? So that's down here. This is the change output style. You can literally change the stage output layout, all these different things, and you can do that. Okay, so I'm gonna go back up here. I'm gonna back out. I don't necessarily want to create that action, right? But you got actions, okay? And when you click them, they'll work. You can click on these and they'll do something. I can drag this onto something and it'll do it. So I can drag this onto a slide. Boom. So now you'll see the little stopwatch because it's going to start a timer. So when I go there, when I click this slide, a timer automatically starts. And so you can start to get more complex and say, okay, I want a timer to start, but that timer is actually in my stage display, right? So when I get to this slide, I want it to show this timer and I want this timer to start. You can make an action that does all of that in one click and drag it onto one slide and it's automatically done. All right. And this comes in for the idea of an advanced use of FreeShow. If you want to streamline your process, for me, the idea is so that you don't forget something, right? So actions are good for the things that you might forget. So if you think you might forget to start the countdown timer on time, then you can make an action for it. Now, it doesn't mean you have to go here to do it though. This is the crazy thing. Actions have expanded all over FreeShow to me is what I would call it. And so if I go to calendar, this has been something that's been there, but there's an option that just says a schedule action. So you can literally just schedule an action and say, hey, at 10 a.m. every Sunday, we're going to start our show and we're going to schedule it to start every time. Maybe, and if it starts service starts at 10, you might say at 9:50, we're going to schedule for our show, our countdown timer to start. When I was in ministry, during COVID especially, it was a big deal trying to start on time, right? It's like, okay, who's going to make sure we start the show on time? And I didn't have FreeShow at the time. We were using OpenLP and OBS and Facebook, I think is what we were streaming mostly. We might have streamed OBS and YouTube, but I can't remember. We had about 3 different computers we were using. We had a soundboard. We had the, um, it was all kinds of new to everybody at the time. This was 6 years ago now, 5 years ago, whatever. And so we were doing everything we could to get this to work right. And we had it, but the challenge was starting on time. You can run an action that does that. So you can say new scheduled action. You hit that and it says, okay, what day and what time? And you can say, I want it to repeat. That's the day. I want it to repeat every week, once every week. And you can set that till 2029 if you want to, or 2027 or whatever it is. And you start the date and then you set the time and you set it to repeat and then you'll pick an action. So you still have to create your action and then you just choose what action you want to be, right? So you got to create an action and you pick what it's going to do. And mine's is actually set to start a show. I got mine set to start show. When you do that, it says, okay, what show do you want to start? And it lets you pick from your shows. All right, so I'm gonna close that out. I don't necessarily want to do that. I don't even know what that, I don't think it went anywhere, but if it did, that's okay. All right. So you can see you can see my calendar. I got to start show. So Free Show Friday starts at 10:55. And this is where I had the issue this morning. It was a crazy little thing going on. All right. So that's in the calendar. But did you know that under your shows, you can right click on any category. So I got, for example, men's meeting. I can right click and I can add an action to the whole category for men's meetings, right? Maybe you got one in here. Somebody said in a comment, they said, hey, they made actions or they made categories. They got one called announcements. They got one called prayer. They got one called offering. They got one called sermons. They got one called worship. And they made categories for all that. Instead of it just being generic songs, they got it called worship. And then they got another one that's specifically for all their announcements shows. And what they did is they said, okay, every time we get to the songs, we're going to make a category action. Whenever we get to anything that comes from this category, it's going to automatically change the background to be this default, or this, it's going to change the template to be this, not the background, but the template and the style to be this. You would do that. So start action, it would give you a list of all your current actions you've created. So you got to create your action and you can pick any action you want. All right. For that category. Completely crazy cool. Okay. That is a really cool way to organize your flow. So now all you got to do is create your shows. And when you create the new show, you just got to make sure you pick the right category it goes in, right? So they had all these different categories. They had announcements and all this different stuff. He just picked, or they just picked wherever it was that they wanted it to be. And there's already an action dedicated to that particular show every time, right? And for you all in ministries that are always the same, right? In terms of the flow is the same, the goal is to be as consistent as possible. This is a really good way to be consistent. And if you need to make a change, you make a change to that action and it changes all of your shows at the same time. All right. So that's one way, or that's the third way actually. So we got the functions, with the actions tab here. We got the calendar with the scheduled action, that's 2. And then we went to shows and we did a category action. All right. Now let's look at another option. I've got this actual show here. All right. I can go right here to this little flag and it says assign a custom action for this show to trigger when this button is clicked. So for this particular show, I can add another action. It'll do something else, start another timer, or it can trigger an effect. Whatever it is that I've got created here, it can clear out the overlays. Whatever you want it to do, you can. It's pretty much limitless, and you would pick that whatever that is that you've already got to create it, right? So you got to create your show, your action. I'm sorry, from the functions, and then you can pick through all of them. All right. It might be that this when I get to this show, I needed to change the stage layout. Maybe. Okay, that's an option you can do. So that's another place you can find actions. This little flag. The other place you can find actions is if you have a project, right? A project represents a service. Okay. You can right click on any section in your project. And I say right click, you can just click on it and then go down to the options. In the options, you can trigger an action when navigating presentation to a section, trigger an action when navigating presentation to a section. And it says you can do global or you can do current. Okay. And so the idea, I believe the difference is going to just be this current section when navigating presentation to a section. And this has to do with globally for any section, right? And so you can do one different for each of those. And it's just kind of cool. So you got all these different options and it's the same drop down. All the actions you've ever made are all, that you've got active in your functions tab. They'll show up here. Okay. So you make the action and then think, where do I need to add it? Do I want to add it so when I get to this part? Now, here's a caveat to me that sets the sections apart from the shows, the category of the shows. The sections piece, you have to flow a certain way with your show in order for this to work. And I've done a poll a while back. It was a while back, but a lot of people told me they use their mouse and they click around their shows. If you click around your shows and you click over here to get to the next show and you click over here to get to the next show, to get to the next slides, the section gets skipped over. And so if you never go past that section with an arrow key, it won't trigger the action that's associated with that section. And so this goes back to what I said earlier about that view. So if you change your view and you say, hey, I'm going to do the focus mode will give you your sections, right? So this one says examples. This is the name of a section here. And so when I arrow through, it'll go through that particular section, right? And so when I arrow through, it goes through past this examples thing and it'll actually trigger any action tied to that example section. When I get down past this and get past the hallelujah chant, there'll be another section and it's called scriptures, right? So when I go here, I can arrow through and now it jumped me into this next section. And when I go through, it pops up and it takes me into the next set of scriptures. And I'm using my arrow keys to do that. That's the only way those section actions, I'm sorry, will be activated. So there's a little bit of a nuance to it. If you don't navigate FreeShow that way, they're not going to be effective. But what will always work, if you come out of focus mode, what will always work is your shows. If you put actions tied to those categories, which any of those shows, it will automatically trigger just because it is labeled with that particular icon. So the icon will be unique and it'll trigger that action just because you're in that show. Okay. What questions do you guys have about that? That's a very, very, I'm going to say very advanced, but it's a high level overview of actions in terms of all the different ways you can use them. Now, I'm curious as to you guys leaving me some comments. Leave a comment down below if you're just now seeing this and it's not live. I still want to hear, how do you currently use actions in a cool way that really help the community understand other ways that they can make the most of actions. And that's my goal, is to help you guys make the most of FreeShow with that. All right. What questions do you all have before I let you go? It's 12:43 on my time. It's been almost 2 hours now. Thank you guys so much for joining. And if there aren't any questions, I will leave you guys with a blessing from me. Be blessed. Have a great weekend. And check out the beta for FreeShow if you have not already. Check out, I didn't get to show you guys or talk to you guys about the latest videos. Let's see here. I didn't get to that part. If we go to videos on the site, this past week we did a MIDI. If you're using MIDI signaling from, like, I know a lot of people are using not PowerPoint, ProPresenter, they use Ableton. That's something I've seen on YouTube videos. I've never used it, but Ableton Live, I think is what it's called. This is a tutorial on how to use MIDI inputs on certain parts of your show, like different slides. You can set a signal to trigger that next slide. And then this one has to do with gradient text in FreeShow. So you can actually add gradients to your text, like what you see in that cover there. And you can add those special effects with the gradient text, and it kind of gives a cool effect. Let me see it. I don't know if I get to show it there, but and then the seamless bullet points. Somebody asked about that, so that's an answer to a question, and that one has to do with literally making your bullet points look like they're just showing up on the same slide. FreeShow doesn't currently do that. I know there's a GitHub request for it to do that. So that's already been requested. You don't have to go back and make a request for it. But right now it's not that option. But the gist of it is, if you got 5 bullet points, you need to make 5 unique slides. But each of those slides are just a duplicate of each other, and you're just adding in the next point, right? So it looks like you're changing this, like you're adding the bullet, I'm sorry, but you're actually just changing the slide that it has one more point to it. And my tips in there help you kind of streamline that process to where they don't change the spacing and all that stuff. For example, like you want to align it to the top of the text box, so they always start at the same point and work their way down. All right. And then the story loops backgrounds. This is a free deal. I don't know if I told you guys about that, but that's a way to get some free backdrops, at least at the point I made the video 6 days ago. Really cool backdrops. I like what I found on it. Let me see if I can show you guys some of those backdrops that I got. I think I put them in here. Ooh. Oh, here we go. Free show story loops. All right. So these to me are really cool, actually. And so, like, kind of like animated drone effect. I don't know what you call it, but this effect right here is really cool. Okay, it's like a skyline forest or something like that. But I think it's just graphics. It's definitely. I don't think it's it's not real trees or anything like that. That's one of them. And then I got something similar, just a different color tone, different landscaping, right? Like kind of going through a valley, which is pretty cool to me as well. And this is more, I'm gonna do this as just more review time. We're not really talking about that. And then they had some other ones. These are this fiber optic one. It's pretty busy, but it's kind of cool. I like the feel of it. It's still easy to read the text if the text is bold. So I'm not averse to it, but you can also use that one template with this. That's really cool. This trendy template. Let's say it says trendy curved. Let's do boom. It won't let me select it because I think I got this default set to something. Let me see here. For my primary output, let me see what my yeah, it's on default, so it should change, but it's not changing for some reason. Oh, is it because I don't have it open? Let's see here. There we go. Okay, so there's that, and it's got 1, 2, and 3 at the top of it. Interesting. Oh, it's because it's not a it's cool. It's not a scripture template. Let me see here. Let's go to a song. Let's go to this song and let's do that same deal. All right. So we'll show this song, and I'm gonna go back to that same. We'll do this layout. All right. So it shows up that way, and then go back to my media. So this effect, it looks kind of cool with that because it doesn't interact with the text too much. So this is another design idea. To me, it's more of a design feel, but it's going through, but the black is behind the text the whole time. So it's not going to interfere with the visibility. It just gives it a cool effect, right? And I don't know what they call that one, but you can get all those from that video. These are red versions of some stuff, some backgrounds. I like the water ones, the river, they call it the neon river. I like the river effects. They got like just some underground shots of water, really cool stuff. This one is kind of cool too. This works with this black too, and it's more just the lighting change, and the little icons. It looks like a little metal rack. I don't know what's that steel cut stuff. I don't know what it's called, but it's a cool effect. And it shows up there. And then and I got all these for free. So these are all free on that site. And I'll encourage you guys to check them out if you have time. And this is another one, more water with a different hue, but you can always change your hues in FreeShow. So it doesn't matter what hue it is. You can always go and change your hues for any video or any background image as well. So let's see here. This is my first Friday. I will be back Awesome, Claude. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your time too. Let's see. How can you loop 4 announcements, 20 seconds each for about 5 minutes? Great question, Claude. How do you loop 4 announcements? So that is literally, so I got my countdown loop here. So you said you wanted to loop them 20 seconds each. So I would go to, so this is like some fake, let's call these fake um flyers. Okay. These are all just free show thumbnails. These are just fake flyers. This is the men's meeting. This is the outreach, and let's act like that's what that is. The first thing you do is you go down to the bottom here and set the slide timer length. So right now, this is going to change the length for all the slides. So you only have 4, but I got a bunch more, but that's okay. So we would just say you said 20 seconds. So I would just make this be arrowed up to be 20. And you can just type in 20 in there if you wanted to as well. All right. But visually, I can do that way. All right. So that's done. All right. So now I say apply to all. So it shows you it's 3 minutes long because I got a bunch more, but it'll loop and it'll set the loop because the way it does it, it sets a timer. So 20 seconds, you'll see the little timer at the top of each slide. And then the last slide, it'll have this little icon that just says go back up to the start. All right. Now, to make it stop at 5 minutes, what you can do is you can set it to where there's a like a countdown timer to it, and then when the timer's over you can make it go to the next show or something like that. For me, what I would recommend you do, instead of it being, well, yeah, you could do that. So make it go to the next show, and then the next show just be something that, like, for example, if it's an opening slide, you can make it just the next one just say welcome, for example, right? The other thing you can do is you can just make that be 4 and 4 and 4 of those same sets of the same slides until when you do this option here, when it's 20 seconds, you can see exactly this is 3 minutes duration. You can duplicate those 4 slides in there as many times as it takes to get it to where it's going to show for 5 minutes. That's a kind of a ragtag way to do it, but it works. Okay. Kind of cumbersome because you don't want to keep having to change that every week and making 20 different versions of the same thing. So I would say put a timer to it, and then with the action. So let's say if you do actions, I'm trying to think about where it would be. So let me say change after 5 minutes. All right. So you say choose action. So you would need it to start what would you say? Start a timer. So you need to put something on here to start a timer for that particular show. That would be the first action. It just jumped up, but you would say start timer, right? So on that show, you need to put a 5 minute timer. You don't have to actually make it visible, but it needs to start. Okay. And I don't know if I got a 5 minute timer in here. So I'll do a 10 minute for now because I don't have one that's a 5. All right. So you would do that. And then um, I would just close that out and that's done. And then you need to make another action that says go to next show, go to show on timer, let's say. And so you can say choose action. And I believe it's a way you can make it say start show. Oh, you guys got me thinking now. We'll say this one for now. Set custom activation. Here we go. So set custom activation. You can say activate when timer is ending. Okay, so those custom activations, that's an option here for this. You can say activate when the timer is ending. All right. And then it says you can pick the timer. Right now it's set to any timer, but I can pick that 10-minute countdown timer. Boom. So I'll say that. And then it's going to go to this next, it's going to start this particular show. And this is where you would set a specific show. You might set that show to say welcome. You might set that show to say offering. Whatever is the next thing that's supposed to come up, make it be a generic one, not one that you would have to change every week or every service or something like that. Okay. So that would be my recommendation for a certain number of slides to loop for a certain amount of time. And then, so that's done, right? So go to show on timer, da da da. And that actually, when you create this, you don't have to put it anywhere. It just is active. It works. Every time that 10-minute timer stops, it's going to go to that show. Like, period. Because you created the time, the actual action. So it's enabled. That's basically what I mean. It's enabled. It's going to work. You don't have to put it on any slides or anything like that. You just have to have it enabled. And now it's done. And so it would do that. So every time I do that 10-minute timer now, that's going to happen. But the idea is there. That's how it works. All right. let's see what I call it. Go to show on timer, and it says active when timer is ending, and it just shows you down here. You don't have to put it anywhere. It's just going to happen every time. All right. Um, this is my first. Okay. So hopefully that helps if you're still on there. Okay, Claude's there. Thanks for the answer. So many possibilities. Yes, so many possibilities. All right. It was for me. It was me for Bullet Show. Oh, SBU Media. Yeah. So you asked about that. The the um the slides. I appreciate that with the bullets. All right. And then Stefan says in PowerPoint, I use the morph effect a lot. Would be cool if Free Show can have that. Wishful thinking. Well, here's the thing. So the morph effect is cool. Hopefully you know this already, but I'm gonna share it with everybody just so everybody knows it. And the idea is that in your settings in Free Show, for every style, you can literally set a certain transition. Now they don't have a morph. I get that. They do have a blur. They have a fade, and you can set this to work every time anything that's going on in that particular that's using that style. So your style is the look that you've set up and preset for your outputs. So my live stream has a certain look to it to where everything is transparent on the inside, but it shows overlays and slides. I can make those all be a certain effect for my text transitions. I can do it for specifically for the in, the out, or the between, and I can disable any of those or enable any of those. And I can also do it for my media specifically for the in and the out. I can make it do something different. So when the media comes in, for example, I can say I want it to spin, but when it goes out, I want it to fade. All right. So in is a spin, out is a fade. So you can have some of that creativity or that uniqueness that you might see in PowerPoint that people like. That customization is what I'll say. And then you can adjust how it actually flows and the duration of it and all that kind of stuff. And it'll be specifically for that your entire setup for that style. So anytime you go to that style, your text is always going to fade in that way. Your media is always going to transition out that way. All right. And you can set the time to be, this is in seconds. So it might be 1.5 or 1 second or whatever you want to do. For me, I'm basic and generic, and I always keep everything at none. Media, I think I got it to where it's set to fade. And if you do it, just click at the top option here, it'll do it for both, right? So both of those change. Same way with my my text transitions, everything went to that none because I just selected the text overall and I just said none. Okay. So that's an option. Okay. But it's not the same as the morph. I agree. Any other questions, you guys? Great questions so far. And like I said, it's been a great time. Been a great time. Let me know in the comments, or leave a comment on any video if you got any questions. I'll do my best to answer it as quickly as I can, and if need be, make a new video to address it. But Free Show Fridays are a time for us to come together and actually see some stuff, interact. You guys will be able to send me emails today. We can play with some things. I learned some new stuff. Hopefully you did too. And until next time, I'm Gary B. Jr. You guys have a great day. All right.